Okay, hello. This is Musings of a Sanguine Christian Woman. I am Adeoluwa. And if you haven't noticed already, I don't talk I talk about everything that interests me. So that is why it's called musing. So it's like whatever is on my mind, which includes the activities I get involved in, the things I do. Once I see something and I have a thought about it that has not been explored or that I don't see that is common, talk about it just to let it out of my chest. And if you're happening to be listening, thank you. Let me know what you think. So that's just this about. And of course, my name is Ade Oluwa. And what do I want to talk about? See, that's the thing. You never know what is on my mind unless I tell you. It will surprise you. Guess what I want to talk about today? I want to talk about Prithvi Vallabh. Now, Prithvi Vallabh is an Indian TV series, an epic one, a historical one, based on a legend, so to speak. Of course, most epic Indian movies, and indeed Indian and Chinese mostly, they're based on legends, they're based on mythology, they're based on history, and sometimes they mix both history and myth. So they have like more than enough stories to, you know, last them for a very long time. And India has such, there is a lot, and like from if you love historical stories, if you love epic stories, and if you like royal life, royal drama and stuff like that, you would like this one. I recommend it. Anyway, I mean, because of course I had watched it, I'm biased. What I really want to talk about though is not the story in itself per se, but the fact that there was, like, it finished at I think 44 or 45 episodes, almost like Princess Agent, but we're not going to Princess Agent. That one is a Chinese one. This one, Prithvi Vallabh, is a story of a son of nature. Now when we say son of nature, somebody whose background is very mysterious, someone whose parentage is unknown, like his background is extremely mysterious, and he nobody will have thought much about his mysterious background, except he has this superhuman strength, and he has this superhuman compassion. Like, he's a very stoic, well, not stoic per se, he's very artistic. The Prithvi Vallabh, serial, Sunny Leave, I think. Yeah, those are the people that brought that to us. He's a son of nature, very, very compassionate, like extremely skilled and fearless warrior, and the crown prince of the empire. A happy-go-lucky guy, he has a sense of humor. Like I said, very artistic. Like, it's like he can sing, he can dance, and there is hardly any musical instrument. Although he has his favorites, there's hardly any musical instrument he cannot play. Like, he just excelled at everything. You know, and but he's unmarried. His younger brother was already married, but that's not where I'm going. Like, there's something about that story that I felt like it would have been beautiful if they had fleshed out that story for what it was worth, because there was a lot packed in it. And I like the fact that he fell in love with someone not from a neighboring kingdom, but from someone from the other end. Like one is North India, one is South India. I think he is from South India or North India. I can't really remember, but one is from the north, one is from the south. And the way they met was that was through war. The princess was there on a shall we say spy versus she was not even there to spy. She was there to wage war with her female warriors. So they sneaked in and planted, explosives. That's putting it rather nicely. You understand? You have to go and watch it. I don't want to ruin the story for those who wrote it and knew that is going to watch it. So that's how they met. He didn't know that was what she was there for. But he saw her and he fell for her. And their relationship was a very turbulent one, in the sense that they didn't even have a relationship. He was trying to make peace with her kingdom, but she had an axe to grind with his kingdom. And that made things a bit difficult, for both of them. They were having losses on both sides, but it took a while. No, not a while. It actually took him trying to be like Jesus. Trying to be like Jesus. You have to watch it to get what I mean. Like trying to be like Jesus, to actually break through her anger, her pain, her trauma, to that little girl that believed in love, that believed in life, so he took his blood, literally, without outrightly dying in the process, although he almost did. But supernaturally, he was, like I said, he had to act like Jesus for him to get through to her. So, and then two incidents coincided. They had someone from outside the Bharat, that was what now India, Bharat subcontinent, trying to take over the entire subcontinent. So even if she was still resisting his love and all of that, they had a common enemy right now that one of them cannot fight alone. Like they had to join forces, and it wouldn't be the first time that had happened, right? So it was that you either unite to fight or you all perish together kind of situation that they found themselves. So it was interesting that they came together. Well, of course, like she could have disagreed, but she came together. They came together and they won the war, and they also kind of developed their relationship as well. It was really beautiful to watch. Really, I think there would have been more to be added to the story, but it started strong. That was the issue with that story. It started really strong, and then it was getting diluted along the way. That's what I just think, but I heard it had to do with lack of funding. I certainly hope that they can continue that story one way or the other, because that story is really unfinished as far as I'm concerned. But they managed to conclude it somehow. Like it's like when you get to you're still going to number 100, but you stop at number 40 or 60 thereabouts to now jump to number 100. So there is a lot in between, right? And even after, but they just showed us a happily ever after situation after that. Although it could have been more, there would have been because at that point would have been the beginning of a season 2. There was a season 2, and frankly speaking, the way Indians do their serials, you will know that 3 generations it is on the third generation or sometimes the fourth generation that they conclude a story. So if you followed the way Indians do their soaps and TV series, is on the third generation. But usually when is that is when it's contemporary. But when it's historical, at least they conclude it at the second generation, like Judah Akbar, for example. And then of course maybe you now have a different story where they talked about where it's about, not the story is now about the Judah Akbar offspring and his journey to the throne, his journey of love and stuff. Like, it now became a separate story. So I hope that maybe they can do something like that. I don't know, but I think that is a very beautiful story because it shows how the journey of unity, the consequences, the far-reaching consequences of being selfish, of being greedy, and it gives you an idea, how the complexities of people's character. Like, the reason I love royal romance and royal, because people often just see the power, they see the bejeweled woman sitting on this throne, exalted throne, ordering people around, going to war, but they don't see the heart. So I think with these stories, they show both. They show the woman in the palace and they show the woman in the throne room. They show the woman outside the palace and they explore why they do things they do. And you get to see that they are just humans with power. That's all. Like humans with power, with influence, and they don't always get it right, which affects everybody else at the end of the day. So if I'm going to give a review of that story, it's very, very rich. Of course, if you are looking for a more interesting fight scene, I don't know, man. That depends on what kind of fighting scene you're used to. But if you're just about a good story that is interesting, that is captivating, that makes sense, then you won't have a problem with it. It's a very colorful, of course. When you're watching Indian stuff, colors will be there. Colors will be there. Of course, you can always watch the trailer. The trailer gives you an idea of how huge that story is. And of course, I think I understand why, the story may have not explored its full potential, in my opinion. One is funding, because if you want to depict royal life, it's going to cost you. It's going to be a lot of money to depict royal life in series, not in a movie, in series, episodes. That they have to change clothes, obviously, right? So it's going to be costly. It's going to be a lot of money, and I guess maybe they did not, sponsorship dwindled, or they didn't get enough funds and they had to manage a lot of things. I don't know, but they still managed to tell a good story, a really good story at the end of the day. But it started really well, and it has a potential, a really good potential, I guess maybe that's something that in Indian movie industry have to work on. I mean, because on a normal day, they use a lot of jewelry and a lot of colorful, expensive clothings, expensive looking clothings, plush, posh, elegance, and all of that in their movies generally. Now, when it's going to be a historical one, that makes it more flamboyant in a well arranged way. Now you throw in royalty. Well. it's going to be really pricey. So I think that they might have to really work on those. But I think they just limit it to movies because it's just a 3 hour plus or 2 hour plus, So you see movies like Judah Apatow, the movie. You see movies like Bahubali, you know, and the likes. And imagine that consistently for 40 episodes, 50 episodes, 100, 150. Yeah, I can see where that could be quite challenging, but I don't think it's impossible. But then again, it takes money. So yeah, the themes for me is the theme of love, theme of long distance relationship, and how difficult it sometimes is for a woman. A woman is expected to leave everything she has to join with a man, and the lady in this question, in this case, the princess, the what I will call the Yorani. Yorani is someone who could very well be the king, but isn't the king, right? In her case, she was the eldest. Her brother is the youngest, and she could have sat on the throne, but she chose to support her brother, to be his pillar and his support. So she created a kingdom for him, with him, and had him installed as king. As the story played out, though, I wish she didn't do that. She was the eldest. She had leadership skills. She was fearless. How she became the eldest, though, you have to watch the story for that. It had to do with the enemy kingdom. Something. Yeah. So you have to watch that. So she would have made an excellent queen. Right? And she was just happy supporting her brother and just being in the background. Although she wasn't in the background, she had her role there that her brother's wife resented. And for me, I don't understand what her resentment is all about. Like, girl, unless you are prepared to go to war, I don't know what your issue is. Like, you are not going to war. You can't make an executive decision. You are not even, like, she was too busy remaining an individual. Like, I think the issue was that she wanted to be like what Jezebel was. Bring her own culture and establish it in her husband's kingdom. So her problem was not that her husband never makes a decision without his sister. Her problem was, why is he not doing that with her? Why is he not consulting her? And I think that, maybe not a lot of people, some people thought it was a problem, but I don't see what the issue is. So, when it comes to issues like this, you have to learn. She was not willing to learn. She just felt that she knew what she knew, that by virtue of being queen, she should just be included in everything, or she should be just handed power. But she doesn't think that she had to learn how to handle power. You have to read. You have to study. You have to be willing to unlearn, to learn. You have to become one with that kingdom. And I think later in that story, her husband told her that you never accepted us, that you saw us as your problem. You never accepted this kingdom. I think it's because she came with the idea that I want to come here and change things. Only for her to realize that a woman was already there, running the show. And she resented that. And every chance she had, she conspired to get her out of that position. And she somehow succeeded because her son, he was one poisonous guy. In more ways than one. they succeeded, and at some point she felt useless. Like when you are used to not power, she was just working hard to solidify her her brother's empire, to make it strong and invincible. And so she wasn't really thinking about herself. She was putting herself in a lot of danger, so a lot of times she goes to war so that her brother doesn't have to. Because if it was her brother doing all the work and she's just enjoying life as a princess, it is her brother that will be going for all these wars, and she doesn't want him to get hurt. So she didn't marry. She doesn't have children. Her guru, like they call it in India, a guru is like a mentor. Her mentor, the elder, the advisor, the chief advisor. When a person is a guru in a palace, they are not the king, but they are the only ones that the king bows to. They are the only one the king bows to. So if you want to get something, if you need somebody that can talk to the king, you have to go to the guru. So the guru is like the mentor that shows them the way, that shows them, that is the humane side. They're usually not warriors. I mean, they can fight, but they're like the conscience of the royal family. So their influence cannot be underestimated. But then again, the king can decide that he doesn't want to listen to the guru anymore, which was what eventually happened. It was very funny because at the beginning of the story, it looked like it was the princess that was running the kingdom. But I saw differently, even at the beginning, though I didn't really understand it. But I saw that it was just a guy that didn't want to take responsibility for anything going wrong. So it was convenient for him to let his sister do all the work. And the sister is always like talking to him about being more assertive in areas that matter, and being more focused. The reason I thought it was just, pretending to be weak was the fact that he had a mistress. That was not his sister's idea, though it seemed that the sister knew about it. But how do you tell a grown man to not cheat on his wife? You understand? So she didn't have much of a say in that, because she felt that she didn't want to push him too hard. Because if you're like, no, you can't do that one, no, you can't do that one, he might just rebel. So she was like, this is something between husband and wife. And it's amazing that the queen, that is his wife, somehow found a way to blame his sister for her husband's infidelity. She couldn't even control that part of it. Like, she couldn't control that part of her husband, but she somehow wanted to control the entire kingdom. She feels that the sister is holding a position that should be hers. And I'm like, again, you can't fight a war. You might be able to, deflect a few attacks on you, but you can't fight a full-fledged war. You don't understand statecraft as it pertains to that kingdom. You are not. All you just care about is the power. You're not concerned about the service. But I guess she doesn't care, and the way they treated her, I think a lot of things came to its climax when everyone turned against her, and she lost her position. She practically lost her respect, and the only people that were there to hold her up was her mentor, who was a guru, her who you can call her sister in arms, like her assistant, if you may, her personal assistant, who is also like her personal assistant in everything. Like if she needs information, that is the person she sends. So that person is like the head over the her personal guards. So she's a personal bodyguard, but it's also her confidant. Like there is nothing she wants to do, or like that one understands her. Her mentor, and the girl she chose for her nephew. Those were the only people she had left. And those people didn't have the power of the king. So they could only give her moral support and emotional support. Because she got to her lowest, and she now began to see things from a different perspective. Like she didn't regret anything, but she began to, her eyes opened sort of, and she began to see her friends for her friends and her foes for her foes. Her maid, not her maid, her PA told us something. Now it's not PA she's called though, in that story. But that is the way you can understand this lady's role. Her PA told her that the people you love immensely have now become your enemies. The people you hate are the ones who love you immensely. And I realized that is where some of us are at. It takes a difficult situation sometimes to reveal who your friends are and who your foes are. The brother just stood back. Like she was in a difficult situation. She found herself in a difficult situation and her brother thought that was the perfect time to assert his authority as king. And the first thing he did was to remove his sister from the throne as the commander-in-chief and his partner in rulership. I thought that was crazy. Like she didn't get any support from him. I mean, his wife came to gloat. It was weird. It was crazy. I felt for her. But it was also at that time that she knew what love really meant. And when she had practically lost everything, and is like the only person who has ever loved her was also about to be killed, not just die, killed on her name. That was when she had to face the truth that she had along the way fallen in love with a man. And they had to work on their relationship while they both went to war. And it just reminds me that for people who know and believe that life is a battle, it's not a big deal. You know, it's not a big deal. You just sort of know that it is what it is. You know, war for them was a normal thing. You understand? And she became, wow. I mean, wow. In contrast to Bahubali, I was expecting, if only what happened to Bahubali could have been prevented if Devsena was like had the mindset of Princess Milnalvati. That is the name. I love that name. I need to find the meaning. Like, it's a very royal name. It's a very strong name. It's a very powerful. It sounds powerful. Milnal. Like, you have to roll your tongue, and I don't know how to do that. Milnal. Mrinal. 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 But if you want to really call it, is Milnalvati. Mrinalvati. So She had the mindset of when she realized, and the thing about, you know, her that I like is that once she has come to terms with how she really felt, and she's become at peace with how she felt, and she realized that the man she had finally admitted she loved was in danger, she took it upon herself to be his shield. Something that Devsina just couldn't do, or whatever. So that was her motivation for going to war. Her wanting to go to war was not just a fight because it was her duty. That was also mercy of God.